time is 1:15. Here's the news, edited by Romesh Pires, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. The second phase of the Viru Abhiman COVID-19 insurance cover to commence. The Supreme Court dismisses petitions on university cut-off marks. COVID-19 case load in Sri Lanka exceeds 38,000. The high-level independent technical committee to study and recommend final rights to be made devoid of government interference. Random antigen tests on those leaving the Western Province at 11 locations. President's chief advisor assigned to oversee the coordination process of importing COVID-19 vaccine. The committee's full report on Mahara prison riot to be submitted on December 30th. Foreign news, U.S. President calls on Congress to amend COVID relief bill. Sports news, cricket. Bjorn Hendricks and Keegan Peterson withdrawn from Sri Lanka tests. Local news in detail. In line with the President's vistas of prosperity and splendor, national policy framework and the concept of the insurance for all, the second phase of Viru Abhiman, an exclusive COVID-19 insurance cover, has launched by the Sri Lankan Insurance Corporation. The President's media division said the program covers doctors, healthcare workers, the Chai forces, police, public health inspectors, Samurdhi officers and other state sector workers. The second phase of the Viru Abhiman insurance is expected to cover state and private sector employees. Under the insurance scheme, 100,000 rupees is granted to the next of kin in the event of COVID-19 related death. 1,000 rupees daily in the event of hospitalization and 2,000 rupees daily for ICU car. The Health Minister said COVID-19 infections registered in Sri Lanka crossed the grim milestone of 38,000. The Government Information Department stated that the newly identified patients are close contacts of earlier cases linked to the Paliagoda fish market. As per the epidemiology unit data, the total number of COVID-19 infections confirmed in the country to date now stands at 38,059. Meanwhile, recoveries from the virus climbed to 29,300. However, 8,576 active cases are still under medical care at selected hospitals and treatment centers located across the island. Sri Lanka has also witnessed 183 deaths related to COVID-19. The government set the high-level independent technical committee appointed to study and recommend final rights of the patients who succumb to COVID-19 is independent. The committee includes a member of the World Health Organization. The government stressed that the outcome with regard to final rights will be made without external interference. The police spokesman Ajit Rohana stated that the number of places where random rapid antigen tests are to be carried out on people leaving the Western Province will be increased to 11 from today. He said, at present, the tests are being conducted at 4 locations, namely Salawa in Kosgama, Danovita in Mirigama, Kochikade in Nigambo, and Alutkama on the Coal Road, for individuals selected at random. DIG Rohana further stated that random antigen tests were also being carried out on the expressways as well. He said the purpose to conduct such tests was to prevent emerging new subclusters. The President's media division stated that the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's chief advisor Lalith Biratunga has been assigned to oversee the coordination process of importing COVID-19 vaccine. The decision was taken during the daily meeting of the COVID-19 committee held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. Accordingly, Mr. Veeratunga is expected to hold talks with relevant officials with regard to the importing the vaccine to the island nation following a thorough study. The PMD added that target groups for inoculation will be determined on requirement and priority. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
Continuing with more local news, the complete report of the committee appointed to look into the unrest at Mahara prison is expected to be handed over to Justice Minister on the 30th of December. A 5-member committee has been appointed by the Minister a day after the incident to investigate and hand over a report containing recommendations. The committee, chaired by retired High Court Judge, is tasked with preparing a report on the facts underlying the incident, the parties responsible, actions to be taken and recommendations to be taken to prevent such incidents. Its interim report was handed over to Justice Minister on the 7th of December. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved a proposal not to charge airport landing and parking fees from international flight operations. Sri Lanka will reopen its airports from December 26, 2020 to January 19, 2021 as a pilot project in the plans to open the airports on the island for foreign tourists. Accordingly, international airlines will operate according to specific schedules prepared by the Ministry of Tourism and the Civil Aviation Authority of Sri Lanka. The Ministry of Tourism presented a proposal to waiving the landing and parking fees during this period for international flight operators as the international aviation sector is currently facing a crisis. This decision is taken as a measure to encourage international airlines to operate flights to Sri Lanka. The Deputy Inspector General of Police Ajit Rohana says 30 persons have been arrested during the past 24 hours for violating quarantine regulations. The police media spokesman said the individuals were arrested for not wearing face masks and failing to social distance. The DIG said 1,705 suspects have been arrested since the 30th of October for violating the regulations that have been gazetted by the Minister of Health. He stated that operations will continue to arrest persons who fail to adhere to guidelines. That ends local news.
Darling, our daughter has top O-level results. Do you know what this means?
Yes, just 3 years and she'll be going abroad for her degree.
For which we'll need a bank loan.
But is a normal loan the smartest option?
What else?
The smartest way is to start an HDFC Smart Goals account.
Let your child begin their degree with no delays. Start an HDFC Smart Goals account. Call 2356 888.
Honey, you're so smart.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vedha Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedha Mahatmya.
The Supreme Court today dismissed the fundamental rights petitions filed pertaining to the university cut-off marks of the 2019 advanced level examination. The petitions were dismissed without being taken up for examination. The petitions were dismissed with a majority ruling of a bench comprising Justice Bhuvanekal Vihare, S. Thurai Raja and Yasantha Kodagoda. The petitions were filed by a group of 40 students who sat the 2019 advanced level exam under the new syllabus. The petitioners claimed they passed the mathematics, chemistry and physics subjects at the exam under the new syllabus and charged that there is a wide gap in the Z scores of the old and new syllabus. 25 persons, including the Minister of Education, Secretary of the Ministry, the Examinations Commissioner General, the Chairman of the University Grant Commission, and the Attorney General were cited as respondents in the case. That came to you on Main News Story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Disaster Management Center announced that the vehicular movement between Gallel and Manampitiya on the Polonnaruwa-Batticaloa trunk road is restricted due to floods caused by the heavy rain. The DMC added that the road that leads to Somavati temple is also closed due to the flood situation. That came to you on Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. US President calls on Congress to amend COVID relief bill. UK and France agree to conditional border crossings. The pioneering lawyer who fought for women's suffrage in India. World news in detail. US President Donald Trump signaled he will not sign the coronavirus relief bill passed by Congress unless it amends the massive spending legislation. In a video released on Twitter, he asked to forward a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package. The president added that the next administration will probably come under him and will get the bill passed then. The extraordinary message came after Trump largely left negotiations over the measures to lawmakers and his Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin. It leaves the further future of the $900 billion stimulus package and its accompanying government funding measures in question. The British government says France has agreed to admit truck drivers from the UK if they test negative for the new coronavirus. France banned entry from the UK across the Strait of Dover from Monday to stop the spread of the new variant of the virus. More than 50 countries around the world have banned flights from the UK after the new strain, which is said to be highly infectious, was detected in the country. The French entry ban has left about 3,000 trucks stranded and disrupted the flow of goods. The Strait of Dover is a vital trade route, the UK said on Thursday that France had agreed to let truck drivers in if they show proof of a negative test result. Amid the pandemic gloom, it is easy to forget that the year 2020 marks an important anniversary for women's rights. In the US, it has been 100 years since women cast their votes for the first time. A century ago in the United Kingdom, the first female law student were admitted to the Inns Court at Lincoln's in London. One of those students, Mithan Lamb, was an Indian. In 1924, she became the first woman to be allowed to practice law in the Bombay court, shattering one of the thickest glass ceiling for the professional women in the country. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. US President calls on Congress to amend COVID relief bill. UK and France agree to conditional border crossings. The pioneering lawyer who fought for women's suffrage in India. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. The Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga says that the Mattal Rajapaksa International Airport would be developed as a hub for cargo import and export services, in addition to developing it as a foreign tourism destination. He said that a special attention had been paid to this when making MRIA as an active airport. The minister said a total of 396 aircraft have touched down at the MRIA and the total volume of cargo handled was 83,654 kilograms. He said that the government has taken steps to waive off airport fee and Matale Airport in a bid to attract new airlines. That ends development news. Moving on to sports news, cricket. Cricket South Africa have withdrawn Buron, Hendricks and Keegan Peterson from the squad to play Sri Lanka. CSA announced that they will not add any players to the squad for the 2 Test series which starts on Boxing Day. Given 3 rounds of testing are already over, South Africa can begin training as a full squad from today and can go out of their hotel rooms at the Iran Country Club. Sri Lanka also hosted in the same hotel, and the Team Sri Lanka team will only be allowed to travel to Super Sport Park and the Wanderer, the 2 venues for the series. That ends the sports news. Moving on to business news. Fulfilling its role as the caring network, Mobitel, Sri Lanka's national mobile service provider, joined hands with the National Institute of Mental Health, Sri Lanka, to provide connectivity solutions to the patients who are undergoing treatment at the facility. This joint endeavor will enable patients with acute mental illnesses who are COVID positive and who are isolated for suspicion of COVID symptoms to talk to their loved ones, thus helping them to reduce their stress and anger. That ends business news.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
The Sri Lankan Embassy in Ankara organized a virtual meeting, Prospects for Cooperation, in collaboration with the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry recently. The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, during his remarks, highlighted the importance of expanding the trade between the 2 countries and showed their keen interest to explore potentials of both countries. The ambassador of Ukraine to Sri Lanka invited the business community to join hands with the 2 countries on the proportional activities to increase the trade volume. More than 75 participants representing business communities in both countries participated at the virtual meeting. That came to you on Economic News.
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy.
Calm down, everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge.
LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Finally, on to the weather report. Prevailing showery condition is expected to continue further over northern and eastern parts of the country. Showers will occur at times in the northern, eastern, north central, central and Ubud provinces and in the Hambantota district. Fairly heavy falls above 50 mm can be expected at some places in the eastern and Ubud provinces and in Polonnaruwa, Matale, Nuwara and Hambantota districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur elsewhere in the afternoon, and heavy falls above 100 mm can be expected at some places. That ends the weather report. To wrap up the afternoon news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The second phase of the Viru Abhiman COVID-19 insurance cover to commence. The Supreme Court dismisses petitions on university cut-off marks. COVID-19 case load in Sri Lanka exceeds 38,000. The high-level independent technical committee to study and recommend final rights to be made devoid of government interference. Random antigen tests on those leaving the Western Province at 11 locations. President's chief advisor assigned to oversee the coordination process of importing COVID-19 vaccine. The committee's full report on Mahara prison riot to be submitted on December 30th. International news, US President calls on Congress to amend COVID relief bill. Sports news, cricket. Buren Hendricks and Keegan Peterson withdrawn from Sri Lanka tests. That ends the afternoon news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka.